Hello and welcome to one of our Help Us Say Yes webinars, which is going to centre around PPE under the graduated fee schemes. My name's Jen Johnson and today I'm going to be guiding you through everything related to PPE and the graduated fee schemes with my colleague John Davidson, who is one of our esteemed HFS senior caseworkers. Both John and I have a lot of experience in PPE and the graduated fee schemes and dealing with the electronic evidence assessments that you submit to us. The webinar itself is going to be split into a series of videos, so we're going to split it into the supporting evidence required and the LEA reports, and then we're going to do a further follow-up video centering on the assessment process itself. The purpose of today's webinar is to explain to providers the requirements for PPE and where it's served in an electronic format, devoted to how you can get your bills submitted to us the first time round and get them paid correctly. We don't want to be unnecessarily rejecting any claims or assessing them down harshly. We understand that this causes more work for you and it also causes more work for us, so it's in everyone's best interests that we get these claims submitted as required the first time round. I'm going to pass you over to my colleague John, who is going to lead on the next section, which is going to be about supporting information, which is at slide 6 in your packs.
Thank you very much, Jen, and welcome to everybody on our webinar. In relation to supporting information, claims via the LGFS or AGFS systems will have evidence served via 4 main processes: either the LEA report from the DCS, a notice of additional evidence signed by the court clerk, statement or exhibit indices, or correspondence from a prosecution authority such as the Crown Prosecution Service or Trading Standards. For more information in relation to PPE evidence, please see Appendix D of our guidance document, specifically paragraph 16 and 17. And in some cases, there will be additional evidence required. This will either be in the form of a case summary from the Prosecution Service, a skeleton argument that was drafted at the Crown Court, any basis of pleas that were dealt with during the case, or admissions by the defence prosecution during the case. However, those materials can also be obtained via the DCS and uploaded to us. If we turn now to slide number 8, in relation to our electronic evidence aspect, what we would require from providers is a submission of the discs or a USB, which contains the specific files related to PPE evidence. Any detailed submissions about why that evidence being submitted is relevant to your client's case. A breakdown of those pages, either by a file or by tab, depending on the format that the evidence is served upon. And once again, like the normal PPE evidence, proof of service. So again, a notice of additional evidence, LEA report, exhibit lists, or any further correspondence you may have. When we request the information, majority now we will request it via electronic submission. This can either be chosen by selecting disc evidence on the CCD bill. There's a box to tick before you upload. Upload specific supporting documents via CCD, be they the LEA report, NAE, or indictment and representation order. The max upload size, unfortunately, on CCD is only 20 megabytes. So for any cases or files that you have that exceed that amount, we have the LEA Secure File Exchange, also known as Galaxy Key. And we can, in certain exceptional circumstances, accept hand delivery or courier delivery of discs or USBs, but only to our LEA Nottingham office. And you must email in advance to the LEA teams, either LGFS or AGFS, in order to arrange a date and a time for that to be collected. What I'll do now is hand over to Jen, who will go through the LEA reports. Thank you very much indeed.
And you're back to me. So we are on slide 10, which centres around LEA reports. Clue, you think would be in the name. However, LAA reports have actually nothing to do with the LAA. We are not responsible for producing them, and unfortunately, we do not have access to DCS to access them ourselves, which is why we require you to submit them with your claim when you lodge it on CCD. So the LAA report itself contains all the pages of prosecution evidence, and ideally it should be indexed in such a manner. So the sections that we focus on are the statements, exhibits, transcripts and streamlined forensic report sections. They are generally sections I, J, K and L. However, sometimes we have realised that the CPS do put things in different sections, and sometimes it can go a little bit awry, but generally sections I, J, K and L are the ones that we will focus on and take the pages of prosecution evidence from. We will also go through those entries in the summary of the LAA report to take off any separator pages or any cover sheet pages, because they are not they're not classed as pages of prosecution evidence, and that is supported by the case of R versus L. Trekkie. We will also go through these sections to take out any duplicated entries as well, because we can only pay for the pages once as PPE. We also will look in detail at section K, which is your transcript section, because edited transcripts do not form part of the PPE. However, what we will do is if a transcript has been edited many times, we will take the longest version of that transcript into account for PPE purposes. So although we don't pay all the edited versions, we will pay the longest version. For more information on this, you can go to Appendix D of the Crown Court Fee Guidance, which has an itemised list of things that we do and do not accept as PPE. You will also be thinking, well, sometimes we have key evidence which is uploaded into sections G and H, and they're the initial statements and exhibits that we're given. That's correct, and we do allow those as PPE, provided that they are not duplicated in sections I and J. So if the entries are in G and H, but then they're not reserved once the case has formally been committed for trial, we will allow those and take those into account. And you can find out more information about that in the case of R versus L. We also do take some information in section M into account. Now, this is the expert report section, and we know that the prosecution and the defence can upload reports into this section. Any prosecution reports that are relied upon by the prosecution as part of their case against the defendant, we will remunerate as PPE. However, if they are expert reports that are either psychiatric or psychological reports or medical reports that are due to the prosecution looking at the fitness of the defendant in order to accept their plea or in order for them to stand trial, those do not form part of the PPE, so there is a bit of a distinction there. So it's literally only the reports that they rely on as part of their actual case against the defendant, not whether the defendant is fit to stand trial or not. In certain circumstances, we'll also find that electronic material is uploaded into the LAA report, and sometimes we have entries that state that they are egress entries. Now, this generally provides you with a web link to the egress system. Now, if this happens, we can't view the material because we don't have access to the egress system. However, it still might be payable as PPE. So what we would advise you to do is go to egress, download the information, and then upload it into the secure file exchange so we can view that material and make an electronic evidence assessment on it. There are certain cases where we cannot view the material on either the DCS or actually if you were to upload it to us, there are certain situations where we're physically not allowed to do it. That is in cases generally whether it's a terrorism case or a case where it's involving indecent images, so you cannot physically send the material to us and allow us to view it because there's an order preventing you to do so. In those situations, what we would advise you to do is to provide us with the CPS contact details. So if you can provide us with the CPS caseworker's name and either their email address or contact telephone number, we can then contact them to determine what the PPE is in those situations. So we can take it from there for you. It doesn't happen in many cases, and it is quite exceptional. But that's the agreed route that we can take. If as well you have an undertaking not to disclose material to us in any other sort of cases, you can make an application to the CPS to vary the terms of that undertaking to allow us to view it. 9 times out of 10, the CPS do vary the order so that you can send the material to the LAA. But if they don't, again, just provide us with the CPS contact details, and we are more than happy to take that forward for you to get a resolution in terms of what the pages are on your particular case. We're going to take a short little break now, and you can move on to the next video if you want to keep on watching. The next video is going to centre around the assessment process for electronic evidence under the graduated fee schemes. Thank you for listening so far. Thank you.